lobby. He squares his shoulders and tilts his chin upward. Perhaps you misunderstood the sign. Bradley's voice drips with condescension as he adjusts his gold cufflinks. Vanessa remains composed, her Louis Vuitton bag hanging from her shoulder. She stands tall, refusing to be diminished by his tone. I understand perfectly. I'm here for lunch. Bradley gestures toward the exit with a sweeping arm motion, several onlookers watching the exchange. There's a lovely public cafe down the street more suitable for walk-ins. Vanessa's phone buzzes. She glances at it. A text from her husband. How's our new acquisition looking? Her lips curve into the slightest smile. Bradley doesn't realize his career now dangles by a thread that Vanessa holds in her perfectly manicured hand. 15 minutes earlier, Vanessa pulls her Tesla into the Hampton Hills Country Club parking lot. The sleek vehicle glides to a stop between a Bentley and a Mercedes. She checks her reflection in the rearview mirror, adjusting her pearl earrings. Her attire, designer business casual, is understated yet elegant, projecting confidence without ostentation. As an attorney specializing in discrimination cases, Vanessa approaches this visit with dual purpose. She's meeting her husband for lunch, yes, but she's also conducting an informal assessment of the club William recently acquired through his investment firm. The heavy glass doors part as she enters the lobby. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over marble floors and mahogany paneling. The space breathes old money and tradition. Bradley Stevens observes her from behind the reception desk. His eyes narrow, tracking her movement with subtle disapproval. The club has few black members, a statistical fact Bradley knows intimately. He straightens his tie as Vanessa approaches. Good afternoon, she says with a professional smile. I'd like a table for lunch, please. Bradley glances at his computer screen, then back at her with practiced politeness that doesn't reach his eyes. Do you have your membership card, ma'am? I don't, but I'm here to meet, Vanessa begins. Bradley interrupts with a raised hand. I'm afraid this is a private establishment. Members only. He slides a brochure across the counter with manicured fingers. Here's information about applying for membership. The waiting list is currently substantial. The main doors swing open behind Vanessa. An older white couple enters, deep in conversation about their recent trip to the Maldives. Bradley's entire demeanor transforms. His smile warms, reaches his eyes. Mr. and Mrs. Harrington! Wonderful to see you again. He steps from behind the counter, extending his hand. Your usual table is ready by the window. The chef prepared that salmon you enjoy. Vanessa watches this transformation with clinical interest, mentally documenting the contrast. When Bradley returns to the desk, she tries again. As I was saying, I have business here today. Bradley's expression hardens, the hospitality reserved for the Harringtons evaporating. Unless you're staff, I'll need to see credentials. Vanessa feels her phone vibrate in her pocket. She withdraws it discreetly, a text from William. Board excited to meet you at lunch. How's the place looking? She studies Bradley's face, the set of his jaw, the dismissive posture. She makes a decision to see how far this will go without revealing her connection. I'd like to speak with management, please, she says. Bradley straightens to his full height. I am the general manager. All membership and access inquiries go through me. Bradley has just made the first in a series of career-ending mistakes, each more damaging than the last. Vanessa maintains perfect composure, her legal training serving her well. She doesn't raise her voice or show offense. Instead, she nods slightly, as if processing new information. I understand this is a members-only facility. I'm here to meet someone. Bradley sighs with exaggerated patience. He places both palms flat on the counter, leaning forward. And who might that be? I can check if they're a member. I'd prefer not to say. It's a private business matter. Bradley's expression shifts from dismissive to suspicious. His eyes flick to her bag, her shoes, assessing their value. Without a membership or a confirmed meeting with a member, I simply cannot allow you access to our facilities. The exchange draws attention. A couple waiting for their golf clubs glance over. An older man at the bar watches with undisguised interest. A woman in tennis whites whispers to her companion, both stealing glances toward the reception desk. Vanessa notices them noticing. She catalogs each reaction: the averted eyes, the curious stares, the disapproving frowns directed at her, not at Bradley. The social dynamics unfold like a familiar playbook she's documented countless times in discrimination cases. "Perhaps I could speak with your supervisor?" Vanessa suggests, her tone remaining pleasant. Bradley straightens, adjusting his club pin. "I am the general manager. All membership matters fall under my purview." Across the lobby, James Foster, the club's food and beverage director, stands reviewing a clipboard. He glances up, notices the conversation at reception. Something in his expression suggests discomfort, but he makes no move to intervene. "I see," Vanessa says. She scans the lobby again, noting details. "And this policy is applied consistently to all visitors?" Bradley's smile stiffens, professional veneer cracking slightly. "Of course. We're very particular about maintaining our standards." "Interesting." Vanessa glances pointedly at a white couple being waved through without credential checks. "Very interesting." Bradley follows her gaze. His jaw tightens as he recognizes her implication. "If you're implying something, I assure you, our policies are entirely proper." "I wasn't implying anything," Vanessa responds coolly. "Just making an observation." Her phone buzzes again. Another text from William. "Board members arriving at 1 p.m. Excited to introduce you." She reads the message, then looks back at Bradley, who watches her with growing suspicion. "Is there anything else I can help you with?" he asks, clearly hoping the answer is no. Bradley has no idea he's digging his own professional grave deeper with each passing second of this encounter. Bradley steps out from behind the desk, invading Vanessa's personal space. He stands uncomfortably close, using his height advantage to intimidate. The scent of expensive cologne surrounds her. "Ma'am, I've been more than patient," he says, voice lowered but firm. "Without proper credentials, I must insist you leave." Vanessa doesn't step back. She holds her ground, maintaining eye contact. But she feels the weight of public scrutiny as several members stop their conversations to watch the confrontation. "Is there a problem here?" A white woman in pristine tennis attire approaches, racket in hand. Her gaze flicks between Bradley and Vanessa, lingering judgmentally on the latter. "No problem, Mrs. Winthrop," Bradley assures her with a deferential nod. "Just explaining our membership policy to this visitor." Mrs. Winthrop gives Vanessa an appraising look from head to toe. "Perhaps she's a guest of the Montgomerys. They often bring diverse associates." The word diverse hangs in the air, loaded with implication. Several onlookers exchange knowing glances. Vanessa feels a familiar heat rising in her chest, not embarrassment but controlled anger. She's experienced this scenario countless times, represented clients who faced similar situations. Now she's living it firsthand. "I don't need a sponsor to validate my presence," Vanessa states firmly. Bradley gestures toward the door, not quite touching her but clearly directing. "As I was explaining, our facilities are exclusively for members and their registered guests. There's a perfectly nice cafe down the street that might be more appropriate." James Foster approaches cautiously. His expression suggests internal conflict. "Bradley, perhaps we could—" "I have this under control, James." Bradley cuts him off sharply. Vanessa notices a security guard being subtly summoned with a nod from Bradley. The humiliation is calculated, public enough to be witnessed, quiet enough to maintain plausible deniability. Classic discrimination tactics she's documented in numerous legal cases. "This is how you treat potential business partners?" Vanessa asks, her voice steady. Bradley laughs dismissively, glancing at his audience of members who smile in complicity. Business partners? Hampton Hills has partnerships with Fortune 500 companies and international conglomerates. I think there's been a misunderstanding about the caliber of establishment we operate. The security guard approaches. Mid-50s, broad-shouldered, his uniform impeccably pressed. Is everything all right, Mr. Stevens? Please escort this woman off the premises, Bradley instructs. She's refusing to comply with our entry policies. Vanessa holds up her hand before the guard can reach for her arm. That won't be necessary. I'll leave voluntarily. She turns to the small audience that has gathered. I hope everyone enjoys their exclusive experience today. She walks toward the exit with dignity intact but pride wounded. Her heels click against the marble, each step measured and deliberate. As she reaches the door, she hears Bradley mutter to James, "This is exactly why we need to be strict about who gets in." What Bradley doesn't know is that Vanessa never intended to leave. This is just the beginning of her strategic response. Vanessa sits in her Tesla, fingers gripping the steering wheel. The engine purrs silently. She takes deep, measured breaths, techniques from years of facing courtroom pressure. The humiliation burns, but her mind calculates methodically. Her reflection in the rearview mirror shows no outward signs of the anger simmering beneath her composed exterior. 15 years of practicing law has taught her that justice requires strategy, not just righteous indignation, and strategy requires calm. She reaches for her phone and calls William. He answers on the first ring. "Hi, it's me," she says, voice steady. "I think we need to accelerate our plans for Hampton Hills." "What happened?" William's voice carries immediate concern. "Let's just say I've completed my cultural assessment," Vanessa replies, watching the club entrance through her windshield. "The discriminatory practices aren't subtle. I was just denied entry and publicly humiliated." There's a brief silence on the line. When William speaks again, his tone has shifted from concern to controlled anger. "Names? Bradley Stevens, General Manager." Vanessa recounts the incident with clinical precision. "And note James Foster, F&B director present but complicit through inaction." "Should I call them right now?" William asks. She can hear the protective instinct in his voice. "No," Vanessa responds, her plan forming with each passing second. "I want to handle this my way. Remember how we discussed auditing the club's practices? I just became the auditor." She outlines her strategy to return with William's full authority, but without revealing their connection until the perfect moment. The lawyer in her recognizes this as the perfect opportunity to document discrimination in real time, something rarely captured so clearly in her cases. "The board members are arriving at 1 p.m., William reminds her. "Perfect timing," Vanessa says, checking her watch. "Have your assistant email Bradley authorizing full access for Ms. Vanessa Johnson, legal representative of Taylor Investment Group." No mention of our relationship. "What about when the board recognizes you?" "They won't be there for the initial confrontation, and most haven't met me in person yet." Vanessa calculates the timing. This gives us a window to document how they treat a black woman who appears to have authority versus how they treated me without it. William understands immediately. "I'll send the email now." Vanessa ends the call and checks her appearance in the mirror. The humiliation has transformed into purpose. She removes her casual blazer, revealing a more formal silk blouse underneath. From her bag, she retrieves a portfolio bearing the Taylor Investment Group logo. Her phone pings with an email confirmation. The authority letter has been sent to Bradley Stevens, with the ownership transition team and legal department copied. The first phase of her response is in motion. She steps out of her car, no longer just a woman seeking lunch, but an attorney with purpose and evidence to gather. Her heels strike the pavement with renewed determination. Bradley's career now rests on how he handles the next encounter, and the odds aren't in his favor. Vanessa re-enters the club, portfolio in hand, her demeanor transformed from casual visitor to professional attorney. The security guard who nearly escorted her out does a double-take but says nothing. Members who witnessed her humiliation moments ago watch with curiosity. Bradley spots her immediately from across the lobby. His expression darkens, and he starts moving toward her, indignation evident in his purposeful stride. Before he can intercept, a young staff member approaches Vanessa. "Ms. Johnson?" She holds a tablet and appears slightly nervous. "I have instructions to escort you to the main conference room." Bradley rushes over, his polished shoes squeaking slightly on the marble floor. "Excuse me, but this person was just—" His sentence halts as the staff member hands him a printed email. "Mr. Stevens, this came through from Taylor Investment Group." The young woman's voice is professional but carries an undercurrent of confusion. "Their representative has arrived for the operational review." Bradley scans the email, color draining from his face with each line he reads. His eyes dart between the document and Vanessa, recognition dawning with horrifying clarity. "Ms. Johnson," he manages, his tone completely altered from their previous encounter. Confusion and fear replace the condescension. "I wasn't aware you represented Taylor Investments." "Clearly," Vanessa responds coolly. She opens her portfolio, extracting a document. "I'll need access to all operational areas and staff records. The ownership transition team is particularly interested in your membership approval processes." Bradley attempts recovery, straightening his posture. "There seems to have been a misunderstanding earlier." "No misunderstanding," Vanessa interrupts. "Your actions were perfectly clear. Now, shall we proceed with the audit, or should I report an obstruction to the transition process?" The lobby has grown quiet. Several members watch openly now, sensing the power dynamics shifting before their eyes. James Foster approaches, having witnessed the exchange. He appears more composed than Bradley, but clearly concerned. "Ms. Johnson, I'm James Foster, F&B Director. I'd be happy to assist with anything you need." Vanessa acknowledges him with a professional nod. "Mr. Foster, your cooperation is noted. I'll want to discuss your observations of club policies and their implementation." Bradley interjects, stepping between them. "I should accompany you during the review." "That won't be necessary," Vanessa states firmly. "In fact, I'd prefer you continue your normal duties. It provides a more authentic assessment." Bradley opens his mouth to object, then closes it. His authority evaporating, he watches helplessly as Vanessa follows James toward the administrative offices. As they walk away, Vanessa glances back to see Bradley frantically typing on his phone, panic evident in his hurried movements. Bradley's desperate search for information about Vanessa Johnson will yield nothing, because that's not her real name. Vanessa sits in the club's wood-paneled conference room, methodically reviewing membership applications spread across the polished table. Her tablet displays a spreadsheet where she inputs data points from each file. James Foster provides documents while Bradley hovers anxiously nearby, attempting to appear helpful rather than terrified. These rejection rates show a statistical pattern, Vanessa notes, highlighting figures on her tablet. She turns the screen toward them. Approximately 68% of applicants with traditionally non-white names are denied, compared to 23% of applicants with European-sounding names. Bradley shifts uncomfortably, tugging at his collar. Sweat beads at his temples despite the room's perfect temperature. "Our criteria are based solely on professional standing and references. Yet I see several approved applications with lower income thresholds than these rejected ones," Vanessa counters, sliding forward 3 files with precision. Her manicured nail taps specific numbers on each form. "The difference appears to be demographic." James Foster leans closer to examine the documents. His expression grows increasingly troubled as he processes the implications. "I wasn't aware of these statistics." "Ignorance doesn't exempt responsibility, Mr. Foster," Vanessa states without looking up from her analysis. "Especially for leadership." Bradley's phone buzzes. He checks it and his expression shifts from anxiety to relief. The transformation is subtle but unmistakable, shoulders lowering slightly, jaw unclenching. "Ms. Johnson, I've just received word that our regional director will be joining us shortly," he announces, newfound confidence in his voice. "Excellent," Vanessa responds without missing a beat. I have questions about corporate oversight. Bradley exchanges glances with James, a silent communication passing between them. His renewed confidence suggests he believes backup has arrived. He'll address any concerns about our perfectly legitimate practices. Vanessa closes the membership file she's reviewing and stands. While we wait, I'd like to see the member dining area, the one I was told was inappropriate for me earlier today. Bradley flinches at the reminder, the words landing like a slap. He attempts recovery, straightening his jacket. Of course, though the lunch service is quite busy. Perfect, Vanessa interrupts. I'll observe capacity management and service protocols. They walk through the club's main corridor, past oil paintings of former club presidents, all white men in similar poses. Vanessa notes the demographic homogeneity of both members and staff. No person of color holds a position above server or maintenance worker. She takes photos with her tablet, documenting the environment as they walk. Photography isn't permitted, Bradley begins. The transition team documentation overrides house policies, Vanessa states firmly, continuing her assessment without breaking stride. They enter the dining room where several patrons recognize Bradley and look questioningly at Vanessa. He offers strained smiles but provides no introductions, rushing her through the space. Vanessa slows deliberately, observing the exclusively white clientele, the hushed conversations, the disapproving glances. She makes notes on her tablet as Bradley grows increasingly uncomfortable. The regional director's arrival won't provide the salvation Bradley hopes for, quite the opposite. The regional director, Thomas Blackwell, arrives with an air of authority. Tall, silver-haired, with a tailored suit and the confident stride of someone accustomed to solving problems. His handshake with Vanessa is firm, but his smile doesn't reach his eyes. Ms. Johnson, I understand you're conducting some kind of audit? His tone suggests he finds the entire exercise unnecessary, even presumptuous. A comprehensive operational review following the acquisition? Vanessa confirms, matching his firm handshake. I've identified several concerning patterns in service delivery and membership practices. Thomas gestures dismissively, his signet ring catching the light. Hampton Hills has operated successfully for over 40 years. Our exclusivity is our selling point. Exclusivity based on merit is legal. Discrimination is not, Vanessa counters, and I've documented several instances of the latter today. Thomas exchanges glances with Bradley. A silent communication passes between them, the camaraderie of men accustomed to managing situations their way. Perhaps we should continue this discussion privately, Thomas suggests, gesturing toward a quiet corner. They move to a secluded section of the bar area where dark wood panels and low lighting create an atmosphere of privilege and confidentiality. Thomas sits facing the room, positioning himself as the authority in this conversation. Ms. Johnson, Hampton Hills values its reputation above all, he begins, leaning forward. If there are concerns, I'm sure we can address them without formal proceedings. Vanessa raises an eyebrow. Are you suggesting we suppress potential violations? I'm suggesting discretion, Thomas clarifies, lowering his voice. The Taylor Investment Group surely understands the value of the brand they've acquired. Negative publicity serves no one. Bradley nods eagerly from his position beside Thomas. We maintain high standards, which sometimes requires difficult decisions about who best fits our environment. And who determines fit? Vanessa asks, focusing her attention on Bradley. Experience, Bradley replies with renewed confidence under Thomas's protection. I can typically assess a potential member's suitability within moments of meeting them. Like you assessed me earlier today? Vanessa challenges, holding his gaze. Bradley breaks eye contact first, looking to Thomas for support. Thomas interjects smoothly, placing his manicured hand on the table between them. Isolated incidents shouldn't overshadow our proven business model. Hampton Hills caters to a specific clientele that's not discrimination, it's market positioning. Vanessa checks her watch deliberately. Interesting perspective. The board members should be arriving momentarily. I'm curious if they share your interpretation. Bradley's phone pings with a message. He reads it, and his face pales visibly. Mr. Taylor has arrived with the board, he announces, voice barely above a whisper. Thomas straightens, adjusting his tie. Excellent. I look forward to discussing our vision for Hampton Hills with the new ownership. Vanessa says nothing, but her eyes convey she knows something they don't. The moment of revelation approaches, and it will be more devastating than Bradley or Thomas could possibly imagine. The club's main doors open as William Taylor enters with 4 board members. Tall, distinguished, and commanding in a bespoke charcoal suit, he scans the room until his eyes meet Vanessa's. A smile breaks across his face, warm, genuine, intimate. Bradley rushes to greet them, smoothing his tie. Mr. Taylor, welcome to Hampton Hills. We're honored to have you visit our establishment. He extends his hand with practiced deference. William nods politely but walks past Bradley directly toward Vanessa, barely acknowledging the outstretched hand. The club manager follows, confusion evident in his furrowed brow. There you are, William says warmly to Vanessa, kissing her cheek. His hand rests naturally at the small of her back. How's your day been, darling? Bradley freezes mid-step. Thomas Blackwell's confident demeanor crumbles visibly, his mouth parting slightly in shock. Enlightening, Vanessa responds, maintaining perfect composure. I've been reviewing operations as planned. She turns to the stunned managers, allowing a moment for reality to sink in. Gentlemen, allow me to properly introduce myself. I'm Vanessa Taylor, lead counsel for Taylor Investment Group and wife of William Taylor. Bradley's face drains of color. Mrs. Taylor? The same woman you suggested find a more appropriate cafe down the street, she confirms. The one you had security ready to escort out. William's expression darkens. What's this? Thomas attempts recovery, stepping forward with a professional smile that doesn't mask his alarm. A regrettable misunderstanding, I'm sure. Not at all, Vanessa corrects, her voice carrying across the now silent lobby. It was perfectly clear. When I arrived as myself, a black woman without visible status markers, I was deemed unsuitable for entry. Only when an email arrived mentioning Taylor Investments did my presence become acceptable. One of the board members, Patricia Alvarez, steps forward. Her tailored suit and direct gaze project authority. We explicitly discussed inclusive practices during acquisition negotiations. Which is precisely why I conducted this unannounced assessment, Vanessa explains, and documented concerning patterns. She opens her tablet, displaying photos and notes from her inspection. The evidence appears methodical, damning. William reviews the evidence, his expression hardening with each swipe of the screen. He looks up at Bradley, who has begun to perspire visibly. Bradley, is it true you denied my wife entry earlier today? Bradley stammers, his composure completely abandoned. Sir, without identification. Did you verify the credentials of the white patrons who entered while I was being turned away? Vanessa interjects. Bradley's silence provides the answer. William turns to Thomas. And you suggested discretion in handling discrimination concerns? Thomas straightens defensively, attempting to regain authority. I was protecting the club's reputation. The reputation is precisely the problem, William states firmly. The lobby has grown completely silent, members and staff watching the confrontation unfold. This club's legacy of exclusion ends today. He turns to the board members. The transition plan accelerates effective immediately. Patricia, implement the inclusion protocol we discussed. Full leadership audit, policy overhaul, staff retraining. Patricia nods, already making notes on her device. And current management? William looks at Bradley and Thomas. Administrative leave pending review. James. He turns to Foster, who has been watching silently. You observed this discrimination and did nothing? James looks down, accepting responsibility. I should have intervened. I have no excuse. Vanessa interjects, measured but firm. He at least expressed concern and provided documentation without resistance during my review. William acknowledges this with a nod. Noted. You'll work with the transition team. He turns back to Bradley and Thomas. You have 30 minutes to collect personal belongings. As reality crashes down, Bradley makes a last desperate attempt. Mr. Taylor, I've managed this club for 15 years. Our exclusive atmosphere is what members value. Then they'll need to adjust, William replies coldly, or find another club. Around them, members watch with varying expressions, shock, discomfort, and from a few, quiet approval. The public humiliation was just the beginning. The legal and professional consequences are about to cascade. The following morning, Vanessa leads a team of attorneys and HR specialists through Hampton Hills. Staff members watch nervously as policy manuals are collected and computer systems accessed. The club operates with skeleton service, but the investigation proceeds at full force. In the main office, Vanessa conducts interviews with employees at all levels. She sits behind Bradley's former desk, creating an intentional power shift in the space. Each interview reveals another layer of the discriminatory culture. We were just following Mr. Stevens' guidance, one membership coordinator explains tearfully. Her hands tremble as she describes the unwritten practices. He said maintaining the right atmosphere was our primary responsibility. Define right atmosphere, Vanessa prompts. The coordinator hesitates. He had phrases, Hampton Hills material, or fits the club profile. We all understood what that meant. Another employee, a young man from accounting, produces spreadsheets tracking member demographics. I was told to prepare these monthly, but never understood why. Mr. Stevens always seemed pleased when certain percentages remained steady. Meanwhile, William meets with key members in the club lounge. Some sit with arms crossed, expressing outrage at the management changes. Others lean forward, relieved to finally address issues they've privately questioned. Between us, confides an older member, lowering his voice despite the privacy of their corner table. I brought my business partner here last month, brilliant investor, happens to be Indian, and Bradley made him feel so unwelcome we lost the deal. I was too embarrassed to complain. In the conference room, Patricia Alvarez presents preliminary findings to the board. Graphs and statistical analyses fill the projection screen. The discrimination wasn't just racial, she explains, highlighting a particular chart. We've found patterns based on religion, national origin, and even profession. Apparently, tech entrepreneurs were considered new money and subjected to extra scrutiny. Legal team members discover membership application files with handwritten notations like not HH material or atmosphere concerns for rejected applicants with non-European names. These notes never appeared in official rejection letters, but determined outcomes nonetheless. One attorney finds an email thread where Bradley and Thomas discussed strategies to discourage certain applications without creating documentary evidence of discrimination. The smoking gun lies in their careful language, designed to maintain plausible deniability while executing exclusionary policies. Vanessa begins formal documentation of potential legal violations. This goes beyond bad management, she tells William during their evening briefing. There are clear patterns of illegal discrimination with documented intent to conceal. By week's end, the story breaks in business publications. Exclusive Country Club faces discrimination, investigation following ownership change. Former manager Bradley Stevens hires an attorney and issues a statement claiming he merely maintained standards established by previous management and denies discriminatory intent. His press release characterizes him as a scapegoat for institutional practices. William and Vanessa hold a press conference in Hampton Hills' Grand Ballroom. Media outlets fill the space once reserved for galas and charity functions. Cameras flash as they outline their response. What happened to me happens daily to people without the resources to fight back, Vanessa states, looking directly into the cameras. We're implementing changes to ensure it never happens again, not just at Hampton Hills, but as a model for the industry. They announced the creation of an inclusion committee comprised of diverse professionals to review all policies, plus a significant investment in scholarships for underrepresented youth interested in hospitality management. This isn't about punishing individuals, William adds. It's about transforming a culture that normalized exclusion and called it tradition. In the days that follow, several former applicants come forward with stories of rejection despite strong qualifications. One woman describes how her application languished for months until she inquired about the delay and was told the club was at capacity, only to learn a white colleague applied after her and was admitted within weeks. A former staff member reveals she was instructed to schedule tours for certain applicants during off hours when fewer members would be present. I was told it was for their comfort, she explains. Now I understand it was to prevent them from being seen. Corporate sponsors begin pressuring other clubs in their networks to review their own practices. Two major corporations announced they're auditing all their hospitality partnerships for inclusion practices, creating a ripple effect throughout the industry. Bradley appears on a conservative talk show claiming cancel culture is destroying traditional institutions and that private clubs should maintain their unique character. We're talking about private associations, he argues. People should be allowed to choose who they socialize with. The interview backfires when the host asks if unique character is code for exclusion based on race, and Bradley struggles to articulate a non-discriminatory justification for his practices. Well, it's about common interests and backgrounds, he stammers. And those common backgrounds just happen to be white? The host presses. Bradley's fumbling response becomes a viral clip, further damaging his reputation and strengthening the case for reform. Bradley's public defense strategy is crumbling, but he's about to face his most formidable opponent yet, in a legal showdown. 1 month later, Bradley sits with his attorney in a corporate conference room. His once impeccable appearance has degraded slightly. His suit still expensive but not freshly pressed. His tie knot asymmetrical. The confident posture he maintained at Hampton Hills has given way to a defensive hunch. Vanessa enters with the corporate legal team. She wears a tailored charcoal suit that projects authority without ostentation. The wrongful termination claim Bradley filed is being addressed through binding arbitration. His attempt to salvage both reputation and finances. The arbitrator, a distinguished former judge, calls the proceeding to order. Recorders activate. Bradley straightens, attempting to recapture his former confidence. For the record, Vanessa begins, standing rather than sitting, Hampton Hills does not dispute Mr. Stevens' 15 years of service. We dispute his claim that his termination was without cause. Bradley's attorney interjects. He's a silver-haired man with an aggressive reputation. My client maintained standards established long before the Taylor acquisition, standards that were approved by previous ownership and regional management. Standards that violate federal law are not defensible regardless of longevity, Vanessa counters. She presents evidence methodically statistical analyses of membership rejections, documented instances of selective policy enforcement, testimonials from former employees. Bradley watches with mounting dismay as his professional life is dissected through data points and testimony. Each presentation further dismantles his claim of wrongful termination. The most damaging evidence comes from James Foster, who testifies about explicit instructions from Bradley to discourage certain elements from applying. He told me the club's prestige depended on maintaining its traditional demographic profile, James states, avoiding Bradley's glare. When I questioned this, he said members wouldn't pay premium fees to feel like they're at the United Nations. Bradley whispers urgently to his attorney, who raises his hand. Objection. Mr. Foster is clearly currying favor with new management. These alleged statements lack corroboration. On the contrary, Vanessa responds, producing an email. Mr. Foster documented his concerns contemporaneously, though he lacked the courage to report them at the time. The arbitrator reviews the email, then nods for Vanessa to continue. Bradley's attorney attempts to portray him as merely following market demands. Private clubs cater to members' preferences. That's business, not discrimination. Discriminatory preferences are not legally protected, nor are actions taken to satisfy them. Vanessa's response is measured but devastating. The law doesn't exempt discrimination simply because it's profitable. She presents Bradley's personnel file, including his performance evaluations listing maintaining exclusive atmosphere as his greatest strength. The coded language now exposed in this context transforms from professional achievement to documented discrimination. Mr. Stevens wasn't fired for following orders, Vanessa concludes. He was fired for creating and enforcing a system that violated federal law and for personally discriminating against me based on race, an incident he admits occurred. The arbitrator reviews the evidence and rules against Bradley. His wrongful termination claim is denied, and Hampton Hill's counterclaim for damages to their reputation is upheld. The financial penalty isn't ruinous, but the professional rebuke is final. As they exit the hearing, Bradley approaches Vanessa. His face holds none of the condescension from their first encounter, replaced by bitter resentment. "You've destroyed my career over one misunderstanding," he says, voice low. "No, Mr. Stevens," Vanessa replies calmly. "You destroyed your career by building it on discrimination. The only misunderstanding was your belief that such behavior would never face consequences." Bradley's final attempt at redemption, a memoir claiming insider knowledge of elitist culture, finds no publisher. His professional reputation in ruins, he eventually relocates to another state, taking a position managing a small restaurant with none of the prestige he once commanded. With Bradley's chapter closed, a new challenge emerges, transforming an entire industry built on exclusivity. 6 months later, Vanessa addresses a hospitality industry conference. The grand ballroom of the Meridian Hotel fills with managers from exclusive clubs nationwide. Many sit with arms crossed, expressions guarded. Others lean forward, notebooks open, ready for change. Vanessa stands at the podium, commanding the space with quiet authority. Behind her, a screen displays the title of her presentation: From Exclusion to Excellence, the Hampton Hills Model. The lawsuit against Hampton Hills wasn't just about one incident or one manager, Vanessa explains, her voice carrying throughout the room without shouting. It exposed systemic practices replicated across the industry. She clicks to the next slide, displaying the Hampton Hills Inclusion Protocol, a comprehensive framework illustrated through concentric circles of policy areas. Private clubs can maintain exclusivity based on legitimate criteria: professional achievement, community involvement, ability to pay dues. But using coded language to maintain demographic homogeneity isn't just morally wrong, it's legally indefensible. Several industry leaders shift uncomfortably in their seats. Others type furious notes on tablets. Vanessa presents data from Hampton Hills Transformation membership demographics, satisfaction metrics, revenue figures. The numbers tell a clear story of success rather than compromise. During the Q&A session, resistance emerges. "Our members value tradition," argues a silver-haired manager from a northeastern club. He stands rather than using the microphone provided, a subtle power play. "They'll leave if too much changes too quickly." "Some already have left Hampton Hills," Vanessa acknowledges without defensiveness. "But they've been replaced by new members who value excellence without exclusion. Our revenue is up 17%. Murmurs ripple through the audience at this figure. "But your situation was unique," challenges another director. "Your husband purchased the club. Most of us answer to boards that resist change. Which is why we've developed board education modules as part of the protocol," Vanessa responds. "The legal liability alone often convinces resistant leadership. The statistical evidence proves compelling. Hampton Hills has increased membership diversity while improving profitability. Their waiting list has grown, not shrunk. William joins Vanessa on stage for the final segment, their unified presence reinforcing the message. Together, they announce the Hampton Hills Initiative, a certification program for private clubs committed to inclusive excellence. Two major hotel chains immediately announce their private club divisions will seek certification. This isn't about checking boxes, William explains. It's about recognizing that excellence and exclusion aren't synonymous. The most vibrant, successful spaces embrace diversity of thought, experience, and background. The initiative includes anonymous assessment tools, policy templates, and training resources, all available at no cost to any organization committed to change. We're not asking you to abandon standards, Vanessa emphasizes. We're asking you to apply them fairly and consistently. True excellence needs no artificial barriers. As they leave the stage, an older club manager approaches them. His weathered face suggests decades in the industry. "I've run Westridge Club for 30 years, he confesses quietly. Never thought we needed to change anything. But watching what happened with Hampton Hills, maybe it's time we reassess." Vanessa offers him a card. "The first step is the hardest. We're here to help." As the industry begins to transform, Vanessa and William face one final test of their commitment to lasting change. 1 year later, Vanessa sits on the Hampton Hills terrace, observing the transformed environment. The spring sun warms the space, glinting off the crystal water glasses on tables throughout the patio. Members of various backgrounds engage in conversation while staff move efficiently through the space. The club hums with energy different from the hushed exclusivity of its past. Laughter rings freely. Business is conducted. Connections form across boundaries previously enforced through unwritten rules. James Foster, now general manager, approaches her table. His posture carries confident purpose rather than the hesitant deference of their first encounter. "Mrs. Taylor, the scholarship recipients are here for the mentorship luncheon." Vanessa follows him through the main building. They pass walls now adorned with new artwork pieces reflecting diverse perspectives and cultural traditions alongside the traditional landscapes that have always hung there. The club hasn't erased its history but expanded its vision. In a private dining room, a dozen young hospitality management students wait, a diverse group from universities and community colleges across the region. They rise when Vanessa enters, eager but nervous. "Welcome to Hampton Hills," Vanessa greets them. "A year ago, I wasn't welcome in this room. Today, you represent the future of this industry." She shares her experience candidly, neither dramatizing nor minimizing what happened. The students listen intently, some nodding in recognition of dynamics they've already encountered in their young careers. Then Vanessa listens as each student describes their career aspirations. Many mention barriers they've faced, assumptions about their capabilities, subtle discouragement, outright discrimination. The systems designed to exclude don't dismantle themselves, Vanessa tells them. They require persistent, strategic pressure from both inside and outside. William joins them, along with several board members and industry leaders participating in the mentorship program. He greets each student individually, learning names and interests without rushing. "Change happens at multiple levels," he explains after everyone is seated for lunch. "Policy reform creates the framework, but cultural transformation requires personal commitment from those with influence." A student raises her hand. "What happens when we face resistance? Most of us won't have the authority you had." "You build alliances," Vanessa advises. "Document patterns, present solutions, not just problems. And remember that change rarely happens all at once. It builds momentum through consistent pressure." After lunch, Vanessa walks the grounds with Patricia Alvarez, now Chief Inclusion Officer for Taylor Investment Group. The garden paths wind through meticulously maintained landscapes that blend traditional and modern design elements, a physical manifestation of the club's evolution. 23 clubs have completed certification, Patricia reports as they walk. 47 more are in process, and membership demographics are shifting across the network. "And James?" Vanessa asks. "How's he handling the transition?" "He's become our strongest advocate," Patricia confirms. His perspective as someone who witnessed discrimination but initially failed to act resonates with many in management positions. They pass the membership desk where Bradley once stood. A new team greets all visitors with consistent courtesy, regardless of appearance or perceived status. The most resistant members eventually left, Patricia adds, but our membership has grown 9% overall. Turns out excellence is a stronger draw than exclusivity. Vanessa smiles, satisfaction evident in her expression. That's the lesson here. Discrimination isn't just wrong, it's bad business. It limits talent, stifles innovation, and ultimately diminishes value. As they complete their walk, returning to the main clubhouse, Vanessa reflects on the journey from humiliation to transformation. The goal was never revenge against one manager. It was changing the systems that empowered his behavior. The work isn't finished, Patricia acknowledges, glancing at a report on her tablet. It never is, Vanessa agrees. But progress doesn't require perfection, just persistent commitment to doing better. A group of diverse members exits the dining room, engaged in animated conversation. One notices Vanessa and waves in friendly recognition. The simple gesture acknowledgement of belonging represents everything the transformation has achieved. Beat Stories doesn't just tell tales of injustice. We showcase the strategic minds who change broken systems. Comment below with your thoughts on Hampton Hill's transformation and share this story with someone who needs to understand that discrimination has consequences. Remember, when you subscribe to Beat Stories, you're not just following a channel. You're joining a movement that believes in holding power accountable. Subscribe now and become part of the change. Hit subscribe now to join our community of justice advocates. Every like strengthens our ability to share stories that matter. Activate the notification bell to never miss our next powerful narrative of accountability and transformation.
This isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of what happens when truth meets visibility. At Beat Stories, we believe exposure is the first step to transformation. Subscribe and stay tuned, because the next story might be yours.